the Foreman bill, Senate Bill 1023. I don't know if you caught wind of this, but Senator Taves suggested it go to the 14th order. This would change the Coronavirus Stop Act and make it an overall medical freedom act. Here,
I remember the print hearing.
Yeah. And I think Mr. Producer, do we have Taves with his recommendation? Is that the one? No, we don't have that. What do I have up here? I have something. Foreman. What is that?
I was busy watching House Bill 93 all morning, so
yeah.
I'll have to go back and see what happened.
I think it's there, Jeremy. Foreman Taves. Yeah. All right, let's watch that.
We have a question.
Would you be willing?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Foreman, first of all, I'm in support of the intent of this legislation 100%. It wouldn't fix the issue that I had with employment where I lost my job or had to resign because it excludes international situations. But I really resonate with what you're trying to do. I have a question of why throughout the bill it references unless required by federal law, no state, county, or local government, et cetera. It leaves that option for the state and local government. It doesn't leave that option for business, and this is my concern. In the case of OSHA, you have OSHA requirements, and the OSHA requirements do require that employees wear masks in certain situations. And so it kind of puts the employer at odds with the legislation with the federal government unless there is an option, an exclusion for federally mandated type things like that. So my question for you is whether you would be willing to send it to the amending order for that type of a fix.
Senator Foreman.
Chairman Guthrie, Senator Tays, I am fully in agreement, if necessary, to send this proposed legislation to the 14th. I'm not insensitive to the concerns and questions that have been brought up, and I think the 14th order might be an appropriate place to hash out some of those things and work through them. So I would not be in opposition to that.
All right, so there to the 14th order it goes. Brian, just remind everybody what the 14th order is on the Senate side.
So both the House and the Senate have the ability to amend bills on the floor, and it's not technically on the floor, because what it is, in the Senate it's called the 14th order, in the House it's called general orders, but it's really the same thing. They dissolve into a committee of the whole. So it becomes a committee, but it's the entire Senate in this case. And anyone can propose amendments. So it's a little dangerous to send things to the 14th order because anything can happen. However, if there's a consensus that something needs to be changed in a bill, they can do it that way. They can send it to the 14th, move to amend it by inserting whatever language they need, and then they'll vote on it. And then it will come back to the Senate floor to be voted on normally.
Very good. So it sounds like let's make a little bit of a change on this particular bill to make sure they don't block any sort of OSHA requirements of keeping people safe.
Whether or not there should be federal laws requiring how you handle yourself on the job, that's a different discussion. But
it is.
Obviously we don't want to put our businesses in the crosshairs where they have to either choose to violate Idaho law or federal law.
Yeah, and we did see that. I mean, we did see there was an OSHA, there was a mask mandate, not for particles, but the COVID style mask mandate that was issued through OSHA. I remember that during the Biden administration. Where it said where companies said we have to mandate the mask because it's part of OSHA, and so you saw some companies take a stand and say we're not going to do that, and then you saw others say, well, we have to because it's OSHA and we can't violate that or we'll be fined or whatever, and so that was a big thing. And then if finally they did get rid of it, as they did get rid of everything, but this is. But yeah, I think it's worth at least acknowledging. And look, if it helps get this act over the hump and we can put this COVID stuff behind us, the other bill that was the resolution to create a task force, basically, or some sort of investigative force to look into COVID. I think we have a clip there. Do we have that clip, Mr. Producer? Yeah, let's watch this real quick.
With all the wide variation in opinions on how things were supposed to be approached during the pandemic, and then with creation of a committee like this and trying to represent all the groups, is it even possible to come to a consensus of what was good and what was bad through that?
Senator Foreman.
Mr. Chairman, Representative, absolutely. With the brain power we have in the legislative body, we can make that happen if we keep this venture within academic constraints. By that I mean if we resist the human urge to point fingers and assign blame to people. In the military, and I'm a 30-year Air Force guy, when we had a major incident, a mishap, under penalty of law, we had to investigate it. And the tone we always set was, doesn't do any good to point fingers and say, well, it's her fault or his fault. What does good is to find out what happened so that you can prevent it from happening again or respond in an intelligent way if, God forbid, it does happen again. So I think we absolutely can get to the bottom of it and do it in an academic vein. And I think it'll help with our transparency. And it will present a good image to the public. Many of my constituents have said, why haven't we done an after-action report? They don't want a pound of flesh. They just want to know what happened and what we're going to do the next time, God forbid, if it happens again.
I love it. Very good statesman there. Good statesman there. Let the rest of us deal with a pound of flesh. That being said, Brian, what do you think? I mean, this resolution, it passed the Senate. Obviously, that's why he's in the House committee doing this. But I think we're on our way to getting there, right?
Yeah. If it passed the committee this morning, if so, then yeah, I don't see this not passing the House at this point. That the legislature is so much more conservative, especially the House, than it has been in recent years. And I think this is a happy medium. I know there are some people who want their pound of flesh. They want recriminations. They want Nuremberg trials. But then others just want to move on and not think about it at all. But Senator Foreman's right. The whole COVID pandemic was an unprecedented event, and government agencies from the White House all the way down to Central Health District, that's my health district here, made rulings and set policy and took actions that were in many cases outside the scope of their legal authority, and in other cases just simply unprecedented. And yeah, we need to look back. We need that after action report to see what they did, why they did it, how these decisions were made, were they in accordance with the law, and especially, as you said, in case it happens again. We don't want to go through and do it again where we have unelected bureaucrats just making such decisions that affect people's lives and businesses in such drastic ways without first having a plan for next time. We went through it, it's done. Let's have a plan in case this thing comes up again.
Yeah, and look, I'm with you. I mean, I don't want this to be like some sort of, like you said, Nuremberg trial or anything. Like we want factual evidence of what happened inside Idaho. I've held up on this program before the I guess it's sort of a similar action report that came out of U.S. Congress on December 4th, 2024. That was a 500-page document that just went through everything that the federal government was looking into with regard to the pandemic, and that's where we learned things that their conclusions, such as masks on children do more harm than good. Right, that was literally one of their findings. And that the 6-foot rule was completely pulled out of thin air, as well as having 2 masks, 1 mask. I mean the whole shebang. And then of course the things that we're seeing now with the uncovering of the U.S. aid of who actually funded the gain of function research on this COVID-19 virus. I mean, these are all the things that we need to know. And there were things that happened in Idaho, including the arrest of people outside singing and was it Sarah Brady taking her kids to the park. I mean, there's so many, Yvonne St. Clair, who's St. Cyr, I'm sorry, going through her mask fiasco, the closing of schools and all this. I mean, we should be going through all of these things, have them on record, have this report done, and then point to it when they try to do it again, as such, because right now we don't have that information, and there's still people advocating for all the sorts of things that we went through before. So, okay, very good, Brian. You are. What else are you following? Where can people follow you, and what's on your plate?
Well, there's a ton of stuff. It's coming fast and furious now.
Yeah.
And I'll do my best to stay on top of it. Obviously, the chicken bill I testified on yesterday, that's going through the process to the Senate floor. We still have the mask mandate bill that passed the House. It's got to come over to the Senate side. Tax cut bill, the income tax reduction passed the House, so it's going to head over to Senate. Make sure I don't get run over out here. And so gemstatechronicle.com, where I've got everything. I didn't get an article up yesterday. I was just busy, but I'll catch up here. There's a couple things I'm working on, some issues with the Meridian Library and potentially handing out books that they shouldn't. People have been sending me stuff about that, and I'll try and cover it. And also the whole thing with Major David Worley and his fight with the Army National Guard here in Idaho for getting removed because he's essentially a Christian. I'm going to be digging deep into some of those. But for moment-to-moment stuff, Twitter at GemStateBrian.
Excellent. All right, good. Yeah, keep following that David Worley story. We got to get more eyeballs on that. Really good. All right, Brian, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great one.
Thanks.
All right. All right, folks. We're going to take another quick little break. We'll do some wrap up, and we'll be right back.
Coming from within the system, which the process in the system is broken.